Welcome to Wasatch Weekends for this Friday, October 27th edition. I'm your host, Ben Roof. On today's show, we've got Park City Film stopping by to tell us all about their upcoming programming, and then Kimberly Perot is going to show us a delicious protein pancakes recipe. But first, a quick local announcement. The Park City Miners football team is facing off against the Dixie Flyers tonight in the second round of playoff action. The Miners are going to be well rested coming into this second round as they had a bye during the first round of playoffs. The Miners finished the regular season in 4th seed and the Dixie Flyers finished in 13th. So the Miners are heavily favored coming into tonight's game. If they're able to take home the victory, they will be running into their first quarterfinals appearance since 2020. The action starts at 6 p.m. at Dozer Field. So let's take a quick look at the weather for tonight's game.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends, and it's Friday, so we've got Park City Film and Katy Wang joining us to tell us all about their fantastic programming coming up. Welcome to the show, Katy.
Thanks for having me. Always good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, your big ski movie is this weekend, correct?
Yes, appropriately timed. The snow has started. We've got 6 more months, yay, of snow coming up. No, we're super excited, and we have Matchstick Productions' newest film, The Land of Giants, to kick it all off, as we do every winter. This is probably our 15th year showing their films here in Park City to kick off the ski season. So
pretty much as long as Matchstick's been around, isn't it? They haven't been around too terribly long, since like
actually they have been around quite a long,
right?
I to live in Crested Butte in the late 90s, and that's when they were getting started. So I know Murray and Steve actually from way back in my own ski bum days. So
awesome.
They've been around.
Yeah, I thought they got their start like right around the turn of the century.
They may have kind of hit the big news, but in Crested Butte, 1,500 people. They're big time for us.
Awesome.
We knew about their films for sure.
Well, I was also a pretty young man.
Yes. So Land of Giants. But what's interesting, this film, what I love about Matchstick is one, I mean, obviously I know those guys, which is great. It's not a like small town connection, but also they always try to bring something different every year, something different to the conversation. I mean, we all love hucking off cliffs and deep powder and traveling around the world and all of that. But how do you get something slightly different every year to keep it fresh and exciting? So this year, because we had such an epic winter last winter, they decided to focus on the mountains themselves. So that's why it's the Land of Giants. That's the name. So you're going all the way to, the ranges in British Columbia, to Japan, to Norway, and of course then our own Wasatch range here in Utah, which is really exciting because then we get to see locals like Colby Stevenson, Olympians that we kind of know from growing up here and kind of our neighbors. So it's really fun to see familiar faces from films of the past, familiar faces from just going to the grocery store and knowing the families, but also just these beautiful ranges that it reminds us why we love skiing so much. I mean, it's as much about the deep powder as it is these enormously beautiful landscapes that you are so blessed to be in the midst of and enjoying in that particularly unique way. So I think they've really brought it together this year to be an exceptional film, and we are thrilled, of course, to have them here for 3 nights this weekend. So we hope folks come out. We're almost sold out for Friday night, for tonight. Our VIP seats are all sold, but we do have general admission tickets. We'll have athletes tonight, swag, like all the fun stuff you know and love about ski films, beer and wine for sale, of course. And then Saturday and Sunday night screenings will be a little more low key, still the great excitement on the screen, but the athletes will have moved on to the next stop on the tour. So lots of opportunities to come see the film.
That was going to be my next question, was if you knew if any of the athletes were planning on being there for tonight's showing. Do you know who's going to be there?
They do not tell us because it always changes. We have a large guest list, so we know it'll be quite crowded with some notables on the screen that will be in the audience. But the guest list always changes, so they don't like to release that list until the final moments. But tonight's show, just so folks know, is at 7:30, so a little later start time than usual because we have all the athletes and we want to get them up here after they've had something to eat and get a chance to, mingle with the audience. And then Saturday will be 7 and then Sunday at 6, so kind of our normal show times.
Awesome. One of the things I'm so excited about for this film is just, I love the scale. Like, it's hard to feel that when you're out there skiing, but when we're watching the movie, it's just that it's incredible to see the scale of the slopes, the scale of the mountain ranges, and that tiny dot of the skier or snowboarder coming down the slope. It's one of my favorite things about ski movies.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever been up to the ranges up in Alaska in particular, I got to go around Denali in a plane, and it's so mind blowing. Like, it's so big. Your shadow of the plane is like this teeny tiny dot. So to see these people skiing those mountains, it's just kind of blows your mind. And then, of course, all of the snow. It makes you appreciate a little bit all of the shoveling and snow blowing we had to do last year. And maybe this year, who knows? We'll find out.
Fingers crossed. So what else do you guys have coming up after the ski movie? I'm sure you have plenty on the plate for us.
Yes, so for the ski film this weekend, parkcityfilm.org or at the box office, but definitely for tonight's show, I would recommend getting tickets in advance if you can, because we do expect it to sell out. And then on Thursday next week, on the 2nd of November, we are bringing Mountain Film on tour. So this is from the Mountain Film Festival in Telluride over Memorial Day every year. And it's a series of short films, and this is their Indomitable Spirit collection. And it is, I think, very reflective of our community here in Park City, people that just follow their passion, that aren't afraid to take risks and kind of push the envelope a little bit and really change the world in many regards. And so we've everything from paracycling to the genesis of Title IX with a great film about that. Just skateboarding, surfing, kind of everything you can think of. I'm just trying to think of all the different activities. There's just so many, but just really inspiring people, activities. And we thought that would be a great way to kick off Live PC, Give PC, which is on Friday, which is Park City's Day of Giving. So if you haven't heard about that yet, Park City Film, of course, is one of the many of the nonprofits that you can support. And if you are interested in what we do, we would love to have your high five of support. No donation is too small or too large, but parkcityfilm.org, you can click on that tab, or livepcgivepc.org as well.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure to send people in that direction. But before I let you go, I've got to ask, you've got both these fundraising programs coming up, and you've got the new movie coming through. You had the opportunity to preview some of these short films, didn't you? A couple weeks ago, you were in Telluride yourself?
Yes, well, actually, this was over Memorial Day. So they have 2 film festivals in Telluride. They have Labor Day, which is the big festival in terms of large scale, big studio productions. And then over Memorial Day weekend, it's really about the focus is on short films. There are some feature films. We are bringing in a feature film later on in the season from Mountain Film. But really the intention is to celebrate that indomitable spirit and just how art can be transformative. And so, it's pretty exciting to see some of the stories that they've collected. We've shown a couple of their films over the years. Stranger at the Gate, which is all about tolerance. Every topic you can think of, there has been some beautiful film that's created around it. And the short film format is so great because, in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you kind of get this beautiful nugget of information and inspiration, and then have time afterwards to talk about it. So it really helps you kind of dig deep and kind of get into these topics in a more authentic way. So it's exciting to bring these films to our screen and have people participate in a very unique way in the short films.
Well, and that's one of the beauties of especially these independent short film projects, is that they can be so emotionally impactful and really drive home a message in not too long of a time. So let me ask you a little bit more about Live PC, Give PC. So if just off chance we were a little bit busy on Friday and didn't have the opportunity to donate to Park City Film then, is there an opportunity to donate early?
Yes, so giving starts now. It actually started earlier this month, and that's exactly what you're saying is what they found out over the years is that not everyone could give on that particular day, so they wanted to make it more available. Certainly, if you give on the day, November 3rd, there are prizes that nonprofits can win for how many people donate in that day or particular time periods, but all of it collectively adds up to help us get a $10,000 matching grant from Promontory Foundation. They fund our popcorn bar and our free community programs. So yes, absolutely. If you have time to give now and just seize that opportunity, seize the day, we would love your donation whenever you are able to give it. And of course, no donation is too large or too small. It all matters, and it really just shows our community. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. We're hoping to raise $25,000 this year, but it really just shows our community how much you love the arts and support them and appreciate independent cinema and want it to continue here in Park City. We've been around for 29 years, and hopefully we'll be around a lot longer than that. So for many generations to come.
Well, fantastic. And just to clarify real quick, it's more important, or it's more impactful to give now during Live Give than it is other times of the year, correct?
No, that's not true, actually.
Okay, no, that's why I
Live Give
asked.
is great. Yes, no, so Live Give is great, and it does show a high five and a shout of support. But any time that you are able to give, it absolutely is impactful and matters to us. So, some folks become members. That's certainly a great way to support us. Sometimes we get larger donations from individuals, and that happens at different times of year depending on your giving schedule, and absolutely we want to accommodate that. So Live Give is kind of a community support, so it is really important, but it is not the only time you can give. So if you would like to give at other times of the year, it's more convenient, for whatever reason, we of course would love your support in any way that you choose to give it. But Live Give is kind of like the community, like, yay, we love Park City Film, and they've got however many donors. So we do love that. And if you've given another time of the year, and you just want to make a smaller donation on Live PC, Give PC, that again just shows that like little high five, vote of support, like absolutely, we'd love that. $5, just cost of a bowl of popcorn. That certainly helps us win prizes, shows our relevance to the community. And so again, that's why I say no donation is too small, because it's really the kind of the intention and the show of support, the showing up for us on Live PC, Give PC. That's really what's important.
But it is nice to have those matching grants and extra gifts for the nonprofit, I'm sure.
Yes, so absolutely. So we do want to make that $10,000 grant. And of course, your donations, all donations will get doubled up to $10,000. So that's pretty exciting too.
Awesome. Well, Katy Wang of Park City Film, thank you so much for bringing so much great independent film programming here to Park City. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the show. If you're looking for something delicious to eat this morning, we're going to check out a delicious recipe that Kimberly Perot made in our test kitchen, some delicious protein pancakes. Let's take a look.
That's right, it's Friday. I am in the kitchen. This is gonna be an adventure. I don't know about you, but growing up, I loved having waffles for breakfast. And especially now, I like having things that are a little bit homemade, and I'm always looking at ways to make it a little bit more nutritious and delicious. Not to have some fun with those words there, but I'm going to show us how to make protein waffles. One of my favorite things that inspired this is this little waffle maker. It basically makes a waffle the size of an Eggo, which you probably had when you were a kid if you are my age, or still now. But anyways, we're gonna get started. It's a simple recipe. You put it all into one blender, you blend it for about 30 seconds, and then you get to cook it. So I'm gonna plug in my waffle maker while we get started here. Now, I love to start this recipe with all of my wet ingredients so that it blends the dry ingredients on the top. We'll start with the first thing that we do. Naturally, eggs. First source of protein. You pour 1 egg, which I absolutely love using eggs in everything that I make. We've got 3 tablespoons of egg whites, which equivalates to about 1 egg white, 1 large egg white. So pour that in there. And the best part about this recipe is it literally takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes in total, from cooking to assembling all of the ingredients. Now, another great source of protein that's in it, Greek yogurt. So we have about 1/4 of a cup. Actually, about 1/2 of a cup of Greek yogurt. So we're just going to spoon all of that in here into the blender. Now, one of the fun things about this recipe, I'm a really, I don't mind using protein powder, but I don't like how it tastes. If you find it in a recipe, you can taste the protein powder unless it's like in a smoothie. You don't normally get to taste it. But this recipe, actually, you can't really taste it, which I love. So we did all of our wet ingredients. We've got 1 egg white, 1 whole egg. You've got the 1/2 a cup of Greek yogurt. So lots of protein right now. Now, protein powder, depending on what kind of protein powder you buy, I would go just by what it says to use as your daily serving. So for this one, it calls for 2 scoops. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 2 scoops out. As you can see, you just kind of smooth it on the side so it's nice and flat. Dump it in the blender there. We'll do 1 more scoop here. And these are the dry ingredients. They will blend really nicely with those wet ingredients that you've put into the blender here. Okay, we've got our 2 scoops there. And then to give it a little bit more base, we're definitely looking for a good hearty breakfast, especially as we're heading into ski season. Mark talked about getting out there, getting in shape. This is a great recipe to kind of fuel you throughout the day as you get overall about 35 grams of protein in this recipe. So that's huge. You dump those oats in. You put about 1/2 a cup of oats as well. So equal oats to equal Greek yogurt. It's an easy way to remember it. And then don't forget baking powder. There's some of that in there as well. With your baking powder, you're going to do 1/2 teaspoon. So simple, just grab a teaspoon. If you're not big on baking measurements, all you have to do is grab a measuring spoon, piece of cake, throw it on in there. All right, we've got just a little bit left. And then this recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Growing up, I was told that you always double the vanilla, and I have to say I do it here too. So I do about 2 half teaspoons or 1 full teaspoon. Right now we're just gonna keep it simple. We're gonna do about 2 of these in here. And if it spills over, who cares? There we go. You've got about 1 full teaspoon of vanilla powder in there. And then, easy, put the lid on your blender. All you have to do is turn it on, blend it for about 30 seconds. So here we go. It's going to get a little loud in here. All right. It's looking great. I like to stop it, kind of check the consistency. If it's a little bit thicker, which I like mine a little more on the, I guess you could say, liquidy side, I just pour a little bit of almond milk, but you can use your liquid of choice, whether it's water or almond milk. I prefer that because it's just a little lighter. And just to taste, I add a little extra into the blender, and then we just get it going. Blend it a little bit longer. All right, looking good. Okay. Take the top off. There's a little bit excess left over there, but if you can see it, just looking great. Now, one important thing when you're using your waffle maker, don't forget to spray it with some cooking spray. Anything matte is fine. Right now I've got a little bit of olive oil spray, so you don't even taste it. It just keeps it from sticking. This recipe makes about 5 mini waffles. So in total, you're getting about 35 grams. You could just pour it here. You want to make sure that you're just covering just the top of the bottom because it does rise while it's cooking. So we want to make sure that we're not, not overfilling it, but just spread it out, get it nice and flat, let it cook there. All right, we're just going to let it cook. All right, our waffle's looking great. I'd say you kind of monitor it, check it. It takes about anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes, depending on your level of crispiness. If you like it extra crispy, make sure that you are leaving it in there a little bit longer. But while it's cooking, I want to show you what the actual product looks like. This is so delicious. I love eating these after the show. I pop them in the fridge or the freezer, grab one out, stick it in a toaster. Absolutely delicious. Right now, I've got the waffle looking great here. One of my favorite things that I like to make because I'm into the make your own food. I've got honey cinnamon butter dollops that I made from scratch. Super simple. Maybe next time I'll show you how to do it. All you do is you melt your butter to about room temperature, add your cinnamon and your honey to taste. I just threw it here on the waffle, drizzle a little organic maple syrup, because yes, I like real maple syrup. I grew up on the East Coast. Anything else, it doesn't count if it's not real maple syrup, especially from Vermont. Well, let's give it a shot. While we're waiting for these to cook, it's gonna have a nice taste. Cut right into it. Gonna spread that butter around. Absolutely delicious. Not a huge ton of butter fan, but here we go. Just gonna taste it. I'm ready to go. Breakfast delicious. Looking great. We've got just a couple more minutes till it's done, but really super simple recipe. If you're interested, ping the Facebook, shoot us a message. We would love to interact and share this recipe with you. I would. It's one of my favorite breakfast recipes. Easy to do, very delicious. So a great way to start the weekend.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's edition of Wasatch Weekends. Don't forget to catch us for our special 1-hour Saturday episode where we talk to several amazing artists and check out some great things to do in the community. Until then, I'm your host, Ben Roof, and this is Wasatch Weekends.